Okay, so my name is Krasimir Kostov. I know it's hard to pronounce, maybe Kostov or Krasimir, Chris, whatever you like it. My name is, I'm from UltraPlay. This is Mario Ovcharov. He's our CMO. Today, since we don't want to make it really boring and just another esports conference, we're going to share with you our experience and our view on esports. How do we see it? But how do we see it from a perspective of a company that provides esports odds for more than 20 games and a lot of in-play markets? I know there are a lot of other companies, well, like the fingers of one of my hands, that provide esports odds and that are familiar with the industry, but we do have the experience and we do have the partners that already are running their esports betting websites that are really successful. So we want to share with you how did we get here, how do we see the esports ecosystem in a way that can be helpful and that can, at the end of the day, make some profit for our partners. We would like to see it from a betting perspective, from a perspective not just to see the esports ecosystem, but how we can actually integrate it into our platforms or create a totally separate platform so that at the end of the day we see how big of a potential it is the esports that can bring us. As a beginning, understanding the esports ecosystem, we know that the world of esports is growing at an unprecedented rate and attracts more and more attention from the gambling industry. Everybody knows that. Like a month ago, we did research how many websites provide esports as an opportunity for their clients. There were around 50. And even though everybody's talking about competitive electronic sports, just a few esports operators provide esports betting as an option in their huge portfolios. The ones that provide it as something between cricket and darts do not see the results that we see with the ones that provide it as a totally separate entity for a completely different audience. I know you spoke about the audience prior to our meeting here, and you spoke about regulation. That's why we want to see it from our perspective as well. But maybe before that, we can talk a little bit about how we ended up here and how UltraPlay grew to its place where it knows the esports ecosystem and provides it to its partners. Mario is more than aware of how everything started and how everything developed because he was actually one of the first guys to provide a live CSGO betting, so he can give you more details on that. And this is not to make any kind of advertisement of ourselves, but only for you to see what is the learning curve that we've been through to get here.
Hi guys, my name is Mario. As Krasimir said, we've been in esports for some time, so I'll save some time to present myself. I'll just jump straight to what we have to say today. There's been some misunderstanding in most of the esports conference we attended. Like the first and only topic people ask is about cheating or like setup games and stuff like that, which is really such an insignificant part of what esports actually is, and it really doesn't deserve any of the attention that's been given. I don't want to say that regulation and stuff is not important, but when you have only like 3 or 4 cases for the whole time being that esports is around, and having setup games on tennis every single day, I don't think this is something that should be discussed. Other things that people don't understand is how exactly, in their eyes, esports is not recognized as a sport. Most of the time it's just like some nerds playing games, who knows how. But that's really not the case. And you've seen that these are large organizations having coaches, psychologists, dietologists, private planes, and like salaries more than tennis and hockey players. So it's really now a time where esports cannot be just said as it's an addition to your sports book or something. This is the future. Maybe not the future only of betting, but it's a whole new segment and it's a whole new sport. Again, many people would not call it sport, but something that has real organization, structures, tournaments, rankings, and it requires commitment 24/7 for almost all your life. For me, it's a sport. So chess also doesn't need you to be physically fit to be a chess player, but it's still recognized as a sport. So today we'll try to sort of conclude. So you can say 2016 was the year that esports bloomed in all of your segments, gambling also. So to conclude, what happened in 2016 and what can we expect in 2017? Because there's a lot more to come.
This one we're going to go through first the common misunderstandings and differences with the traditional sport, something that you know, but I want to stress on that as well. Another thing is what happened in 2016 and what to expect in 2017, together with what is the current state and the potential in esports betting, and maybe the most important, at least to me, as with a financial background, is the real-time examples and trends. Of course, we're not going to show you exact numbers, but we're going to show percentage development and growth for a 6-month period for our esports as we've been handling it. To begin, the misunderstandings of the gambling industry, there are several key factors. First of all, there is a lack of understanding of the esports ecosystem, as Mario just now explained. Still people are wondering whether this is sport or not. Still people are talking about match fixing, but when you can bet not more than $1,000 and you can win a couple of $1 million, and if you fix a match, you are banned for life for your professional career. I don't think that this perspective has been recognized so far. Of course, we need integrity. Of course, we need regulation. But first, we need to understand what is what we regulate. And second, we need to understand that if there is no gambling industry, there would not be a gambling regulation, I guess. The second thing is we have a scarce esports odds coverage from the main market suppliers, or okay, we do have coverage from the main market suppliers. Probably 4, to my knowledge, are the companies that are providing esports odds currently. Most of them are focusing into the games that consist of probably 80 or sometimes 90% of the betting, which is CSGO and Dota 2. The next one, which is League of Legends, is also being covered, but rarely we see titles like Overwatch, rarely we see titles like Hearthstone, and we've been covering them for some time now and see huge potential in them too. Not to mention the not forgotten StarCraft. I'm sure some of you are still playing it. And there is a reluctance to use alternative odds providers simply because you're not really sure if, as an operator, you can really rely and trust the guys that are providing it for you, that they are going to be sustainable and giving you the growth that you need. Because, again, everybody needs to consider their risks in this manner. How different is the esports different from the traditional sports? One really important thing is that there are slight changes in the rules every few months, which means that those slight changes in the rules might lead to major changes in the outcomes. And one of the teams that are adapting quicker to the new changes are going to be more successful. And sometimes teams are using things within this game setup that the other ones are not aware of, and with the new so-called patch, this advantage is gone. So you have always something changing in the game. That's why it is really difficult to create odds in esports, not only because there are multiple variables and in-game variables. For Dota 2, there are 500 in-game variables with different strengths in each game, but also because there are changes every few months, and if you're not aware with them, you can forget about providing reliable odds. The audience is predominantly Generation Y and Generation Z. What we mean by that is that this is not the regular audience for the regular sports books. And when we tend to see the audience this way, when we tend to separate it into a different entity and location where they can play and they can bet, we see different results when it is somewhere between cricket and darts, for example. Because this is a completely new audience with completely new set of understandings. The panel before that was talking exactly about the audience. And we need to handle it in a different manner and engage with it in a different manner in order for us to get the results that we want and to see exactly how much the betting potential and the potential is. Again, regulation is a good thing, but first we need to understand what we are regulating and then to start regulating.
To be honest, it would be much better than to focus the strengths towards whether, how to say, not that much of match fixing and concerns around it, rather than the teams being more secure when entering a tournament, because there is a lot of cases where they don't even get their tournament money, or they go to a tournament where nothing is covered. They have to sleep at the airport and stuff like that. Like, this will be the better approach for regulators to look at, to have more solid tournaments and better organizations where teams can feel secure in the long term, because if something like that happens to you, imagine if Chelsea goes somewhere where they don't have where to sleep, like no one would allow that. And I know this is a quite big example, but in the esports world, there's still a lot of fans. Every team has millions of supporters, so it's very important that they're happy when they go there, because when you go there, it's not like you play one match and stuff. There's sometimes days that you need to play 3 matches, which can consist up to 3 maps, so it's like 8 or 9 hours you're playing. So whoever thinks this is not a physical thing just doesn't know. And they get huge pressure on them, so everything needs to be fine. Like, they need to know that they're gonna take their money at some point, because really there's a lot of cases, if you research more, that just prize money haven't been paid. And we're talking now that there's very large tournaments. I don't know if you were aware, like last week was $1.5 million tournament, CSGO in the United States. So this is still like, there's not many even tennis tournaments that hold that money. And the largest contract for a player signed up last month is like on $45,000 monthly salary, which is still comparably high for just a game, as someone says. So that's where I think they should focus their strengths and just securing and making the teams feel more secure where they enter, and no need to set up games and stuff.
So what happened in 2016? We need to be aware of a few things that were continuing to happen. First, game by game, we see 89 tournaments in Dota 2 with $31.64 million. I don't know how much you need to bet in order for you to fix something to win more than that. The first team earnings for last year were $9 million. I don't know where you can bet something to exceed that. So Dota 2 and Counter-Strike, as I said, consists of 80, sometimes 90% of the betting in all criteria. In terms of viewership, League of Legends is #1. Currently, with us at least, it's #3 in terms of betting. Still, CSGO holds 13 million combined earnings with 688 tournaments and more than 3,000 players. League of Legends, as I said, #1 in terms of viewership and #3 in terms of betting. We see 9.3 million with 103 tournaments.
There's just something to be mentioned. You could say that there's sort of a border between in which age people like different games. Let's say you can say that the audience of League of Legends is quite young. There's players that are like 8, 9 years old that play that game. rather than trying to play Dota. For them, it just doesn't work because it's a much harder game, consists of much more variables, as he said. And CSGO, again, it's like much more skillful and tactical game than League of Legends. That's why you can see that the bigger tournaments and the more earnings are in those two games because they're being carried by bigger professionals and people of older age. So in League of Legends, even the actual professionals are still much younger. And last year we saw the first sign-up of a girl, 17 years old girl in the US. She's like the support. And actually, one of the most important events in 2016 was that Blizzard released their most anticipated capture, which is Overwatch. Many of you know. So they're focusing in, for the first time, game provider is dedicating itself of creating its own completely the tournament network and the whole structure of how Overwatch will become professional will be carried by them. Giving a chance of all talents from all countries to become professionals, and they're funding like their scholarships in the US where you can go to the university and with an eSports scholarship. Also, Overwatch was a game that was announced 7 years ago, so many of the gamers were like begging for it to come up, and when it came up, it's really a game that everybody switched to, and it's still growing in terms of number of tournaments and prize money. But in 2017, this is the largest thing to expect, like Overwatch just being everywhere.
Also, you need to think of every different game as a different sport. Because CSGO is completely different and requires completely different set of skills and understanding and communication than Dota 2, than Call of Duty and the rest. That's how we tend to treat them. Our traders are taking care, there is a designated game, and usually our traders are hardcore gamers that are really aware of the game, and we teach them something else. Then to go the other way around, to take traders and teach them esports. It was much easier than take esports fans and gamers and teach them trading than the other way around. The next game was Heroes of the Storm. We see 3 million. This is the chart for the hours being watched on Twitch, which is one of the main channels that gamers and fans are watching streams of their games. We see 31 million, 52 million total hours for CSGO, 32 for Dota 2, 5 million for Street Fighter. Console games are again still part of the picture. FIFA is still part of the picture. But we are still mainly focused in CSGO and Dota 2, and I don't know why. I think it's high time we think about the rest as well, because the audience that is coming, it's not going to bet on football, believe me. So League of Legends is 77 million, you see it combined is most and all. Hearthstone, we see a drastic increase in Hearthstone, probably because of the launch of Overwatch as well, because there is a connection between the two. The growing interest in esports betting in 2016, I'm going to show you some headlines of the news during this year. I'm not going to dig deeper into it, but you can get the picture. Esports betting to become a boom for the gambling industry. Esports betting, it's real, bigger than you think. To break billions by 2020. Esports and iGaming, a perfect match. People tend to think that there is a good cross-sell between regular sports, casino, and esports. Me personally, I don't believe it, but it's still arguable. Las Vegas considers adding esports to casino offerings. I believe that the next gaming hubs would be places where you can watch esports, where you can play esports, and where you can bet on esports. And Nevada casinos preparing to take bets on esports.
Actually, we even faced interest from one of the largest Macau operators in the face of Galaxy Group. They're also thinking of performing something live in their casinos that can interact with esports betting, but it's not that easy to invent something like that. And the reason why cross-sale is pretty much not real for gamers is like, imagine they played games that took years to develop and billions of dollars, and just for them seeing a slot that's been the same for like 100 years, it's just not serious. They don't consider it as even good or like anything interesting for them. Like, very low end, I would say.
We see again, with all of the talks about esports betting, we see regulation, so to speak, coming to town. UK Gambling Commission seeks to tighten esports gambling. As far as I understand it, the problem here is that if it is not a game of skill, if it is not sport, it should be a game of chance. And the problem comes here that it is not, esports is not considered sport, so it automatically goes into the game of chance, and that's where we see the clash between the regulators and the understanding of the esports. Since it's not sport, it should be a game of chance, and you cannot bet on the outcome of a game of chance, and it gets too complicated to me. I don't know about you. They are taking a closer look. Good news in the States, probably they are a step ahead sometimes. They even held an esports event in the White House. The Nevada Gaming Policy Committee says yes to esports. They say there's no problem in betting in esports. And it's part of the growth of this industry, I believe.
The only argument that they said they considered as game of chances that it's being played on PC. So I can ask anyone to come and see if he has a chance against a pro. It's a game of chance.
This year, a lot of brands entered esports. Just a few of them: Philadelphia 76ers, Paris Saint-Germain with the FIFA, Ajax, Dynamo Moscow. And just to name a few of the major brands that are going to invest into the esports as well, Alibaba is investing as part of a 3-year commitment to esports. And we also see Adidas and the 5 Hour Energy headline early 2017 Sportship. So we see a development, and the big companies that are looking to get something from this market are entering with heavy steps.
I just really want to say something about Alibaba, because what they did is, it was really, again, good approach towards the non-professional gamer, and to give a chance to everybody, give a go and try to see, even with their friends, if they can compete. So they announced like a $3.5 million tournament, which was again a record-breaking amount at that time. And they actually, the approach was like every continent and every country had quality. So this is a real chance for everyone to shine, like all the African countries, Australia. So at the end, they made that huge final in Hong Kong, and you know, very good accommodation, and made everyone feel special. And by this way, managed to bring, because China was like maybe a few steps behind in you know, gathering speed in esports. Maybe I would say that there's a game that it's like a full copy of Counter-Strike that runs on low-end PCs, because in China still not many people can afford like high-end PCs to run all the games. So there's been a copy of CSGO, which is the most played game in the world. It's the most played game in China, and again, no one was giving attention to that game, no tournaments, nothing. So Alibaba also created a tournament on that game, which recovered completely. And yeah, so I mean that again, a huge part of the world is being integrated by the efforts of a single company.
Also, something really interesting that's taken place is that educational institutions are entering into the esports. We can see how far everything spreads. We see at least 5 colleges that have League of Legends esports scholarships. We see titles with headlines like 10 best schools for gamers, 7 schools that offer esports programs, college scholarships for esports. And yes, this is real thing that is happening, and it's going to grow. We see committees being formed for the esports to be part of the next Olympics. We see talks about visas for athletes, for esports players. So everything is developing with a really high rate, and the gambling industry somehow, well, it's not getting on board sooner than then we wish. Okay, we see more of an associations being formed for eSports. Just a second. No problem.
Just use their own.
Okay. We see North American. Back. Okay. North American teams create a professional esports association, which got into an argument with its players and the ESL. It's been the past few months discussion, open letter from the players. Everything is moving. World Esports Association, British Esports Association, International Esports Federation, TESPA, the leader in college esports, everything is being formed now.
But we think that all these should be one. Like, are there 10 FIFAs or are there 10 UEFAs? No. Like, that's why all the gaming communities all around the world need to unite and really work together with all the integrity and regulations and just educate everyone who wishes to participate, because this thing will only develop. It's not like tomorrow someone will say, like, I don't like esports anymore. That's it for me. It will just grow. So it needs to have the needed attention, and it needs to be carried out in the most professional way as every other sport.
What also happened, you need to know about the skin betting scandals. Mario was asking me how we can include the skin betting scandals in the slide. Well, you need to be aware of it as well. I'm sure it's more of a continuation from the 2015 than something new for the 2016. But still, we need to think about it. Headlines like the Counter-Strike gambling scandals, skin betting scandals gets deeper. We saw Valve, Counter-Strike, illegal gambling, controversy continues. YouTubers revealed as owners of CSGO gambling sites. We're talking about skin betting, and we believe that skin betting is going down. At the end of the day, there is going to be a regulation because of underage gambling. The thing is there that when you buy the game, you connect your credit card with your account, and then to buy skins is really easy. And then to try to bet with skins is, again, really easy. And usually who is behind this betting is underage. But Valve, as a game developer, somehow has nothing to do with it because it's a third party that's making the process available. Still, they got an ultimatum to stop all those skin betting websites facing lawsuits. In 2016, this presentation hates me. Okay. Valve to stop CSGO gambling. The CSGO gambling lawsuit is fundamentally flawed. They won this lawsuit. Another one is coming in town. What happened with the skin betting websites? Well, they continue to operate. But I personally do believe that they're going to stop operating, or there will be a regulation in them, simply because this is not the way we want it to happen. But as a number that we probably want to remember out of this year is that in one of the games, the net value of the skins being wagered in one of the games was an amount of $800,000 US. So you might see the scope of the skin betting. We're not talking about hundreds or thousands. It's the skin betting market is actually, or was actually, bigger than the real money betting market. And I believe that even though those players are underage now, they are not going to be in a few years. So it is again another potential, and believe me, they're not going to bet on cricket and on the football, and they're not going to search for esports between cricket and darts, for example.
Just to ask, everybody is aware what are skins, right?
Skins are items that are visually different. Like in CSGO, you have your gun green, and this green gun does not give you any advantage or disadvantage. It's just a unique gun that you like. And this gun costs between 50 and 5,000 euro and has no actual implication on the outcome of the game. It's just you're being unique with this item, and you can bet with this item, and you can collect different items, and there is a way to monetize those items, and that's why the problem is here. You're not betting only skins, you're betting something that can be exchanged in real money at some point of the game.
Exactly.
In 2017, what to expect? Really quick, at least what we see, what we believe. We're not aiming to being correct all of the times, but at least sharing what we believe. More of the same and a bit more. We believe that skin betting is going to go down, which means that the ones that love to bet on skins would continue betting, but not on skins, with something else. More esports clubs going into esports, specifically with FIFA, specifically in the United States. We see brands being formed with different teams, managers. We see a highly developed ecosystem. More esports scholarships, more educational institutions getting on board. Again, more regulation, which is inevitable, but I tend to believe that first we need to understand the underlying and then try to change it or regulate it. More mobile esports. This is something new, trendy. Mobile sports games that are being played competitively. More virtual reality. We saw a few games being covered in virtual reality. The difficulty here is that the spectator mode in the games are not so VR friendly, but they are trying to change that. More live streaming. We know that this is part of the game. Esports, tournaments, professional games are being covered by commentators that are just like in the football. They are professionals. They know their business and they comment as they're commenting something as big as United and against Liverpool, for example. Bitcoin becoming more popular amongst millennials. This is what we think, especially with the latest developments in the Bitcoin, with it being established already as a currency and as a major payment method. Esports going more mainstream, more and more people are going to be aware about what is esports, and more parents are going to be relieved that their child is not just wasting its time in playing games 16 hours a day in front of a computer. We see Blizzard using Facebook Live. Most of the live streams are being streamed through Twitch, but we see Facebook wanting to get on board as well, and specifically signing a contract with Blizzard, which is already happening, but it's going to be more of this in 2017 as well. So we will see more live streaming in Facebook. 24-hour eSport channel to be viewed worldwide as well. Overwatch League, as Mario said, they are making a league that they are going to monitor. Every town is going to have a team. Every region is going to have tournament. Every continent is going to have tournament. The same way that we see like in football, for example. Too many events for some esports titles. We already see that some CSGO teams, for example, since the agenda is too crowded, sometimes they cannot play in multiple tournaments simply because they overlap and they need to choose which tournament to play in. Viewership right issues. We already saw that with the Zubu. We already saw that. Who owns the ownership of the, who owns the viewership rights for the game? Is it the game developer? Is it the tournament organizer? Is it the streamer? So who owns the rights to show this to the public? And again, we see more esports merchandise. We saw in UK a few shops being opened with esports merchandise for different companies, for different brands in the esports, because we don't have only esports teams, we already have esports brands, as most of you are aware. And now we move to the most interesting part, at least for me, the real numbers. This is actual numbers, 6 months period, combined for the partners that we work with that have esports offering either as part of their websites, but mostly as a separate entity, as a separate website that is exclusively focused in esports and is handling each game title as a separate sport. And this is the result that we see from August to January this year. First of all, the total customers. We see once the audience understands and sees that there is such thing that like an esports website, and once the marketing channels are established and being developed the right way, we see an increase in the total customers, which is not an increase in the total players. This is just the registrations without deposits. This is the actual increase in the number of actual players that are actually playing. The graphic shows actual numbers, just for you to understand. The chart is showing the actual numbers. We have hidden the exact amount, and we have left only the percentage growth so that you can have an idea. I'm not talking if this is 1,000 or 2 million or 20 million, but at least the numbers are speaking for themselves as a percentage development, and believe me, we're not talking about 1,000. This is the increase in number of players. You need to be aware of that the partners that we're working with, they have their own marketing strategies. They invest in that as well. But we see a good combination between knowledge of esports and knowledge of marketing and how it is presented and materialized. This is the increase in the number of bets for the last 6 months. This presentation is going to be available on our website as well.
There is something important here to be said. The same way as football betting started, let's say, the online betting at least, like what, 20 years ago. In the beginning, you would only pick the winner, right? So now we have more than 500-600 markets in play at pretty much both. So it's sort of the same trend here. Pinnacle being the first to ever have odds, like some time ago, like 8 years. But then they just stopped and like left esports, of course, and they just left with what they have, like a match winner, and again the same approach. And now the fight is between who's going to be first of creating and inventing new and more interesting stuff, the same way as they've been developed in the other sports. So pretty much here, giving up the options to the punters to bet are always seeing an interest. Like for them, something new is always to be tried, especially if it's worth it, you know. Not like just some coin flip market, but something they can think they have advantage towards you, or like create some statistical or mathematical algorithm that can help them pick their market and create a betting strategy. Because this is also a huge part of just developing the product constantly and increasing the potential on your side, and then giving the options to the punters to have.
So the next thing that we need to show you is the total bet amount, which is another interesting number that you need to be aware of, especially the ones that are thinking whether to have esports between cricket and darts, or to have it as a separate entity. We do believe that if we have a new audience, if we have a completely different audience, we need to treat it as such. We need to engage with it in a different manner, and we need to educate them slightly differently, because we know that the regular sportsbook players, they are already too familiar with the industry. They know too much about how everything is working, unlike the guys that are used to skin betting and have no idea about Excel and about formulas and about the other interesting parts of it. This is the increase in net profit. Again, I'm showing you just percentage development, and trust me, these numbers are real. I'm not making it up. But it's up to you whether or not you're going to.
And again, this is connected with developing and giving more and more options, more and more events every day. And what makes us unique in some ways that we're not only the first of having live CSGO, but every new game that sees competitive scene, you know, we straight away would like hire someone that will analyze it or already have been playing it and just start thinking of a way that can it be integrated in betting. That's why we're the first to have Overwatch. As I said, we were waiting for it to come up. We were prepared. We had access, early access in the beta version for like a year and a half ahead of almost everyone. And then we even covered games like Clash Royale, which is a mobile game, and Vainglory, which is also a game being played on tablets. As I mentioned, Crossfire, which is a low-end game. So all those numbers are being, and by doing that, you show your commitment to the customers. You know, like they feel like, yeah, these guys, they know what they're doing. If there's something new, they have it. Not like, you know, stay with CSGO and Dota forever and have match winner to pick.
That's why the two most played games are CSGO and Dota. Most of the operators tend to have them as an option because they do consist of 80 to 90% of the betting as a whole. That's why we see this. This is for Dota 2, bets count, Dota bet, and net profit. But again, we don't believe that we should rely only on two games. That's why we see the development in the bets count for the other titles that we have from August to January. Number 3 game is League of Legends. It has its very big part of it as well. But we need to understand that StarCraft is still very popular and is still popular amongst players who want to bet on it. Overwatch, you can see from August to January that we're seeing more and more people wanting to, getting interested in Overwatch, wanting to bet on Overwatch. So this is, again, something to follow. And the rest of the titles, we cannot cover them all of the times. We cannot cover all of the tournaments. We tend to cover the ones that we have enough data and that we are certain that the prize pool is high enough for anyone to think that there might be some kind of a match fixing, because we don't want that as well. That is why we don't cover them all of the time, but in some months and with major tournaments for all of those games, we have a coverage. And last slide is total bets. See StarCraft, this is a number that this is a month that we did not have a coverage in StarCraft, but still we see the huge popularity. League of Legends again as the number 3 in betting and number 1 in viewership. Overwatch, you can see in the total bet, you can see the growth and development in Overwatch. Hearthstone, even though we see a decrease from October, we are expecting increase there too. But overall, we do believe and do tend to treat every game separately. Each of our traders has a specialty of only one game. As you know, you don't have tennis traders doing the trading for football. That's the same that we did. Our Dota 2 traders know nothing about Hearthstone, and our Hearthstone traders know by heart all of the 1,000 different cards that they are available right now, and that's why they are capable of providing reliable odds, and that's why, because of the knowledge and the experience that we've built, we have those results. We don't claim to be the biggest in the industry, we don't claim to be the most well-known in the industry, but we claim to have some experience, and that's why we came here to share it. That's why we don't want to take too much of your time, and we're going to leave the floor open to any kind of questions or discussions that you might have with us. It'll be a pleasure to answer them. Thank you.
So, is there a microphone? I can bring it in.
If you can speak loud enough, I believe we can hear each other.
Does anyone has any questions? Wish to be asked?
Online timer. I can speak up also. I didn't see CSGO in those numbers. Was there a reason for it?
No, it's there. We separated CS:GO and Dota 2 as the two games that are covering like 80-90% of the betting, and then we switched to more detailed into all of the games because we don't have the coverage for them all of the time. What we have coverage all of the time is CS:GO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and then the rest when they have big tournaments, big tournaments.
Question about skin betting. The easiest way to get it away would be that Valve closed the API. You think that could happen?
But the thing is that API is not only used for bidding, it's purely market exchange, and you can externally buy the product somewhere else, not necessarily being bidded on. So yeah, that was what that the seized order was all about. They made a huge announcement because there were I would say hundreds of websites, but small, there's thousands of online betting, but there's only a few major ones. So it was the same with skin betting. There were brands that were super famous, and you can see that CSGO Lounge, if you heard of, this was the largest, the landmark of the industry. So I know people that work for them, and what he said is absolutely true. There is games that they see even $1.5 million in turnover. So, and whoever thinks the value of the skin it doesn't hold real monetary value, it's just purely educated. So maybe it's not like you get $1.5 million, but you definitely get $1 million. You know what I mean? There's people that buy our skins because those skins, as I said, for the gamer, it's very important. The same way it's important for someone to have good clothes and go out, be nice. It's the same for them. They spend most of their time in game. So, I've seen people saving their money just to buy a 600 euro skin, a knife in CS:GO. So this is what's important for them, and that's why it was really bad. Because at the end of the day, you buy CS:GO for your kid, yeah? Then your credit card gets stored in Steam. Then it all